Good afternoon, we are now live.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this new webinar session organized by the FTTH Council Europe. I'm Vincent Garnier, the Director General of the Council. I will be your host for this session. This session is actually titled Lesson from Open Dutch Fiber and SPIE on managing the journey to home activated. So you will hear from these FTTH market players active on the Dutch market, and they are joined by our partner and member, the company Grids. But before we get into the session, let me walk you through some housekeeping information. So maybe a few words about the FTTH Council for those who are not familiar with our organization. We are a trade association founded 20 years ago. Our mission is the promotion of full fiber network as the most future-proof and sustainable access network technology. We regroup more than 160 members, vendor, operator, and investors. And we have a range of activity, including organization of events and organization of online activity, such as this webinar series. Now, if we move to the next slide, I just want to explain that this is part of an ongoing series of online sessions that we organize throughout the year. We'd like to provide to our audience insightful information, case study about the FTTH rollout and adoption across Europe. If you go to the next slide, we just want to share practical information. This webinar will be recorded. You will have access to the replay. A link will be directly sent to you. By giving your consent, you also give us the possibility to share with our partner your details, and they can follow up with you with useful information. You cannot verbally ask a question, but please use the question box that you can see on your screen on the platform, and the panelists will be very happy to address this question towards the end of the session. So you can use the question box, type your question, and I will read this question to our speaker towards the end of the session. And with that, I would like to go back to the objective and the title of this session. And I will start by saying that every stage of the FTTH rollout until the activation of the customer, operator are faced with a series of challenges which directly impact their cost and speed of deployment. And actually, one of the best ways to overcome these challenges is through an optimized cooperation between the different stakeholders, especially the operator and their partnering contractor. And that relation is clearly facilitated by solutions of data management like the one proposed by Grids. And so it makes this webinar particularly interesting because we get 3 speakers representing every part of that essential cooperation between vendor of solution, contractor, operational on the ground, and the operator connecting with these 2 other stakeholders. So let me introduce you to our speaker, and I'll probably ask them to come on the virtual stage. We'll start with Verena Schoenen, Chief Operating Officer of Grids. Then Bart van der Pol, Business Architect at Open Dutch Fiber. And last but not least, Thomas Frederiks, Process Information Manager at SPIE. So Verena, I think you will take the lead and walk us through the first part of this presentation. I'll come back for the Q&A towards the end. So the floor is yours, Verena.
Thank you, Vincent. So welcome, everyone. We are very thrilled to have you join our webinar. Today, we have a session together with our expert speakers talking about the journey to homes activated as a network owner and a contractor. What are the learnings from their companies? But first, let us introduce ourselves a little bit more. Please, Bart, can I start with you? Could you tell us something about yourself and your company?
Yeah, my name is Bart van der Pol. I'm a business architect for Open Dutch Fiber.
Open Dutch Fiber is a company that started in 2021. And just slightly before that, I started up setting processes and systems in the enterprise architecture and making sure that we could start this enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting us, Verena. My name is Thomas Freriks. I'm Process Information Manager of SPIE City Networks and Grids in the Netherlands. I've been working for SPIE since 2012 with a small interruption of a few years. And before that, I also worked in the fiber optic industry since 2000. SPIE is a leading independent European provider of multi-technical services in the areas of energy and communications. And we have approximately 50,000 employees worldwide, 7,000 in the Netherlands. And the mission of SPIE is to actively participate in the fight against climate change and to adapt living environments to achieve an energy transition. Excuse me. So that's my part, I think.
Thank you, Thomas. So let me introduce myself as well. My name is Verena Schoonen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Grids. And at Grids, we are committed to make network resource management very transparent and well coordinated among all involved parties in the telecom industry. So Grids is the first software as a service platform that fully supports resource management of your fiber network. And what we do is we make autonomous operations and standardization that help you network development activities to be deployed and always have your sales central. So today, alongside with two of our clients based in the Netherlands, we will explore how our software and data management can help you organize more efficiently, achieving return on investment on your network operations. So why this webinar? As Grids, we saw a lot of industry challenges in the journey to homes activated. And we see that the scale and the complexity of the rollout and managing the fiber optic network activities, that there are a lot of challenges that network operators and contractors encounter. Often the focus is mainly on the process of the rollout and selecting the correct hardware. And we forget that having the right software to support the journey is equally as important. So what did we see? We saw complexity in data integrity and absence of a complete digital twin with lots of our clients. We saw a lack of first-time right in activations, process and collaboration mismatches, and not having sales and then therefore your end customer as the central focus of your process. So today we will discuss how to deal with these challenges and how to manage the journey to homes activated, looking at three topics: data integrity, process optimization, and customer journey. And we will learn from ODF and SPIE how they manage these three topics in their journeys. So let's start with deep diving on data integrity. So for both contractor and network owner, it is very important that data is shared to get the information at the right place, aligning a lot of data and information. I will ask SPIE and ODF with some questions in how they manage this on their side. So to start with Thomas from SPIE.
Yes.
How does SPIE ensure accurate data delivery to network owners during the dynamic process of fiber construction?
Yes. Well, for us to deliver accurate data to our client, that's a network owner like Open Dutch Fiber, it's very important that we generate the digital data where it's created. Mm-hmm. So all our technicians, field engineers are applied with an app in which they can change the status of their orders, of their work orders, at the place, take pictures, make notes, whatever the information they gain They put it in the app, and it will be transferred to our back office in the at our headquarters, and that's also connected in a chain to, for example, Open Dutch Fiber, who uses grids, and through API we will provide them with the right information in real time. That's one of the data chains we have. That's real time when we are at the location where we make the optical fiber connection. We have several other data connections also. For example, during the building process, we have a daily update of the status of the buildings, of the houses that we have connected. And we have a weekly update of the geographical information during building process to Cocon, which is used by Open Dutch Fiber also. So they know which cables are already in the soil, in the ground, and how far the project has gained.
Yeah, and Cocon is asset management tooling.
Yeah, that's a geographical asset management tool used by Open Dutch Fiber. And of course, at the end of each project, we will make a package of all the data, geographical and data, and we give that to the Open Dutch Fiber to deliver the project as the final solution. So that's in those four ways we deliver the data to the network owners to make sure that they are always up to date with the latest data.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. So as you're mentioning, the key is having very structured data sharing sequences. Daily, weekly, at the end of the projects.
Yeah, exactly.
And using software to align this with the network owner so they know the progress of what you're actually doing on their network.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bart, what strategies has ODF implemented to maintain transparency and accuracy in information sharing through the whole entire chain of people working on the network?
Well, good question. As Thomas mentioned during the project, there is these interactions, what Thomas mentioned. Actually, our journey as a project company is actually starting before that, making sure that your scope is actually very accurate. We actually start by looking at our civil administration, called the BAG, and with that we make sure that we get an optimized scope list. By on average, we filter out 15% of the addresses in the civil administration, meaning already there we can start optimizing our network design. This scope list is the input for our design process and input for our data integrity, because we are, as a company, the one that is uploading the initial scope list to our grids system, making sure this is your single source of truth as a scope list. Ensuring that when we talk about addresses, this is the way the address is actually spelled, this is the postal code, this is the address, and making sure that this is the scope of work that the contractor should be doing. In doing so, you don't have, as you would have traditionally, interaction during your whole project. Is this address in scope or not? Is this address written like that or not? This is all being optimized all the way at the beginning. Additionally, you will actually face requests during the project phases that contractors may come up with new address, but is actually rejected by the grid system by saying, no, this is already an address that I have in my scope, only it's written differently according to the civil administration. So that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And may I add to that? The preparation that ODF does for us with the data and making it more efficient and more accurate, that reduces for us as a contractor the failure costs a lot.
Yeah.
So we gain all from that.
So it actually is very important to have data validated, improving the quality before you share it with your stakeholders. For example, SPIE, who is actually using this data to have the connections being established. And you do this by first manually looking at where you can find in the scope list some of the inconsistencies, and then also use the tooling of grids to have the validations that are standardized checked to have the quality of your data integrity increased. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a optimized scope list, you actually will make sure that the spare capacity in your network is actually not used by not preparing yourself properly, but you have your network actually as you prepared it with spare capacity to interact with or prepare yourself for future
use.
Yeah, of the network. Yeah.
Okay, thank you both. Thomas, in your answer, you mentioned that there are different moments of data sharing and also different timing for this. Looking at this graphical overview, could you tell us a little bit what you see here and how does this apply to SPIE as a contractor?
Yeah. Well, I will try to focus on the right top side of this chain because the data connections we all work in the Netherlands in a chain of data. And when I saw this, I had to think of a colleague of Bart who once told me keeping structured data structured. So what we try to do is stay in the digital chain always, from the end customer to us, the contractor, and even to the field engineer who works also digitally.
Yeah.
That's very important for us. And that's what you see here. We receive an order from the passive operator from the Open Dutch Fiber. We receive it in our system. We make work orders from that. We plan the work orders on the right technician, and the results are being pushed back through API to grids to the passive operator, where they can fulfill their things to the active operator.
Yeah.
I think that creating a digital twin is essential for us as a network operator to make sure that what is actually being done in the field is actually reflected in your system that you're managing your network with. So I think that is a very valuable process that you have in place here.
And where possible, we try to do that in real time.
In real time, yes. Yeah. So real time, having a single source of truth are the important items to keep all stakeholders aligned. Yeah. So with grids, we try to support this by being the orchestration tool of data between the stakeholders and have this real time available and making sure that data is always validated. So data integrity, ensuring quality is something that we, as all parties, need to have a healthy flow within our system. All right, thank you so much. So let's zoom in a little bit more on processes and look at our next topic, how to optimize processes. So every stakeholder, of course, has his own process to support. SPIE has their process with the mechanics and the engineers, with the network operators, a lot of processes on the building of the network, how to maintain this. And the complexity lies in matching all processes through the chain of stakeholders. So let us dive a little bit into this. How can ODF, for example, as a network owner, how do you ensure that all participants in the home's activated process receive the necessary information to support the processes?
Well, one of the initiatives that we are supporting is that we also let the technicians perform the HA activities, home's activated activities in the home, like such as connecting the ONT together with the FTU, ensuring that the passive and active chain flow is seamless. So one solution, one visit to the customer is crucial in this very busy time where people are less and less at home, and it's more complex to orchestrate multiple visits to an individual customer. With doing multiple visits, you will actually drop your NPS score. So that's important to ensure that in your architecture, these activities are supported. And with grids, we also support this ONT provisioning task to make sure that the services are delivered to your customer.
Yeah. So making sure that the customer is not bothered too much. So having an efficient process by combining FTU with ONT install at the customer's house.
Yeah, for the customer, internet is internet, but for us as a network operator, we need also to build a network sometimes. And for a customer, it just orders an internet subscription.
Yeah, of course. All right, Thomas, how can you as a contractor enhance your support to the entire stakeholder chain?
Well, that's also done digitally. We as a contractor see ourselves as part of the loop. You saw the chain before, the picture you saw before. Um, we are part of that loop. We are fully connected through API. Our task completion is marked as done only when the checkbox is green. So when we're finished, the whole chain knows we're finished. When we have a obstruction, when we have an on-hold situation or whatever, the whole chain knows what the status is for the connection which we are working on. So that's the way we enhance the support for the entire stakeholder chain, being connected. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So we looked a little bit at the happy flow, right? And looking at the home's activation of a customer, an end customer.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it also happens that an end customer cancels their subscription. It also comes with notification each other or having a process around this.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about this flow? So how does this work?
You're asking me, right?
Both of you, yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about the unhappy flow. For us, it's very important that also the unhappy flow during building process or activation process is being how do you say,
supported.
Connected? Yeah, connected to the whole chain.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the system, the grid does not allow an active operator to cancel an order immediately, because then we have a problem as contractor, because we might already have done the engineering. Maybe we asked for a permit already. Maybe the technician is already on the road. So the chain foresees in that situation, the active operator or the ISP puts in a status to be cancelled. So they have a request to cancel the order, and that goes through grids through API to our system. And in that case, we see that there is a request to cancel the order. So we can stop our activities. We can write down whatever we already did for billing purposes. And then we can acknowledge the cancel, and the whole chain knows, okay, this order is being canceled, but we know what we already did, what we prepared, and we can call back our mechanic if we need to. So that's a way to handle those unhappy flows, for example. Then you have also the on-hold situation in which we are in charge, because we have an obstruction during the connection, the building of the connection. We can put an order on hold, and then the active operator can say, okay, then we might cancel it, or you might call the customer if there's any problem, and then the order goes on.
Yeah. So there's an agreed process, standardized process supported by grids.
Yeah.
Where you say, okay, we want to cancel this subscription,
yeah.
But the contractor has the opportunity to say the cancellation is okay, there's no activities being done, or this cancel is expired because there's already work involved executed by us, so there will be some expenses being declared.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the most important thing. The happy flow is easy, but also making the unhappy flows digital, that's very important for us as a contractor.
Thank you so much. All right, looking into the future, what do you anticipate will be the most significant improvement in process optimization of the next few years? Bart, maybe you can share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think that there's traditional layer model, passive operator, active operator, ISP. We see the chain of information from a customer all the way going to all the way to doing the passive works in the ground. But actually, as I mentioned earlier, once you start to install the active equipment, we will work towards actually a signal from the OSS BSS systems on layer 2 to make sure that you have a verification that your integrity of your fiber from the POP all the way to the customer is actually achieved and the services have been delivered, ensuring that actually the loop is closed and your fiber line is there's integrity on the fiber line being built by the contractor.
Yeah.
So there's an important improvement in making sure that there's a handshake. Yeah, we agree this customer has services, and there's no miscommunication or unclearance by implementing a digital system by confirmation of the signal has reached the ONT. The ONT signals back, I have received your service, and we receive that as a passive operator through grids. Yeah.
And I can add to that, for us, it's also an indication of that we have created a successful connection. So our mechanic can leave the house with a good feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And a satisfied customer.
Yeah. You want to rule out that customers start to call and they actually forgot to connect the router, or they have other problems.
Yeah.
And, so you want always to achieve a first time right, and with this you actually have the confirmation and that the activation has been successful.
Yeah.
Which of course is the most optimized process, but also has a happy customer in the end. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
All right, Thomas, maybe you can share a little bit from SPIE.
Yeah, for us, the most significant improvement in process optimization for the next few years is probably AI, I think. We gain a lot of data at this moment, not only during the building process and activation process, but also with our ticketing system, with the repairing parts of the network. And we all connected to the assets, so we gain so much data. And I think in the future we will have two ways of helping us. First of all, I think we can, in the near future, we can predict disruptions in the network, because, for example, some materials used were not good in the past, and we know where they are and when they will degrade. Another thing that we will have advantage for, I think, in the future is people are aging in the Netherlands. A lot of people will retire in the near future, the next decade. So a lot of knowledge will also be gone. And if we save every data, the work we do now, we save it in a correct way. The future generation will gain from that, and will, for example, we are working on chatbots feed with AI, where they can ask a question, and then they can give you an answer to what your colleagues previously did in the same situation. So all the data that we are gaining now through grids and our own systems will help us in the future, I think, with the help of AI.
Yeah. All right. I think very clear. So having closed loop processes is something that we see for the future as a very important feature to have, but also have AI predictions, taking over manual labor, having more automations within your process, making it more stable and less fault safe.
Exactly.
Perfect. So at Grids, it is our goal to integrate the process of the contractor, the ISP, and the network owner by examining the entire chain of interactions. And we strive to standardize and automate communication between all the partners as much as possible. So in this graphical overview, Grids balances the information and the order flow during the build, the operate, and the maintenance phase through all stakeholders involved in managing your telco network. And we do this by ensuring that there's a single source of truth during all these phases, where you as an ISP, a contractor, or a network owner can find the necessary information to deliver homes activated. So having a standardized process where everyone is using the same data, only the data that is necessary for your activities, of course. And what we see as a challenge is that worldwide address management is one of the main struggles for network operators to manage changes on addresses and data of addresses, and share this with your stakeholders, but not interrupting their processes. So Grids actually provided tooling for this, which helped the network owner to share accurate availability information on address management, while still supporting the activation process. So doing this, we always put sales and the end customer central, because this is what we are here for, right? Providing services that could help selling your network to end customers. So customer and customer journey is therefore very important. Looking at customer journey, which is also one of our main topics we discussed today. Customer journey comes with client central, first time right, net promoter score. These are all subjects we think of when discussing customer journey. And to you, Thomas and Bart, how can you as a contractor and network owner enhance the customer journey?
Well, let me start with that at the start of the company, we agreed on a process for all of our contractors and among with our active operator, making sure that there's one standardized way of making sure that you administer your customer visit within the order, within the digital information. So it starts with definitions. The definitions in an order means that the date that you plan with your customer is the date that it's actually in the order throughout the whole chain, digital chain. And you do that among all your contractors. We have several international contractors, and we do make sure that they all provide their information the same way. They are provided with the graphical user interface of grids if they're unable to interface with their own software systems, but they always have a way to work how we like the processes to be provided. And this is crucial for making sure that through the chain, we all look at the same information with the same meaning, with the same definition.
Yeah.
That makes sure that your customer service desks, etc., that serves the customers are informed about the same information. You can explain them in a uniform way. This is actually what this means. This is what this status means. This is what it means when an order is on hold, or this is what it means when it's in work in progress. This way you can ensure that the whole chain is informed. This is what it means. How this customer journey is actually going through your systems.
Yeah. And for us, that's important also. So as a contractor, to determine that, whether the information is correct and to work to a first-time right situation.
Yeah.
So if the information we get is correct, and what like Bart said, all the information for all the contractors is the same. We work all in the same system. And we can provide our technicians with the right information so they can work on a first-time right situation. And for that reason, it's very necessary to have a correct data in our chain.
Yeah. So between the two of you, how do you align your processes to better meet customer expectations?
Well, the first time right, like I said, and what we tend to do is to make sure that the right technician with the right skills is sent to the right order, to have the right work order, we try to work to a one visit situation. So even if there are different work orders to be planned on one address, for example, a garden drilling or a house connection or in-house connection, sometimes we need different technicians. What we try to do is to plan them right after each other on the same morning, so that the end customer only has to stay at home once one morning, and we try to do that with OpenDutch Fiber, with the information we get from grids. That's one of the things I think we tend to do to get a better customer expectation.
Yeah. And Bart, from ODF point of view, how do you align your processes to better meet customer expectations?
Well, we actually ensure that the SLA is within the orders, that we can make sure that actually the contractor knows what is expected and what is the delivery timelines that are being adhered to. We do so to make sure that the expectation that we can draw to the customer is actually the same as what we are, which are reflected in the execution of the contractor.
Yeah. So having a shared SLA as part of the operational task that go to the contractor very much helps like a short timeline for the end customer to be activated.
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Thomas, you also mentioned something about having multiple mechanics in one morning.
Yeah.
And that is the
If
goal.
necessary.
Yeah, if necessary. So this is, of course, to prevent multiple visits to a client.
Yeah.
Right. So having an activation of the client in one go.
Yes.
So how do you prevent multiple visits?
That way, by planning them correctly, or by having technicians with a wide variety of skills. But sometimes it's not possible. If we try to make a connection with the end customer, and we see that there's a technical problem with the network, then it's not possible. Then communication is the thing to do. The right communication to the end customer, but also to the active operator, to let them know the status and when we will fulfill the order in the end. It's not always possible. We try to do it first time right, but if not possible, we try to communicate good to the end client, and making sure that everything is clear, and then they know what when to expect the connection.
Yeah. So managing expectations also. Yeah.
Exactly.
Bart?
I think what we added is from the beginning we actually facilitated multiple ways of customer communication through various channels. Like when the customer would call us with a question, they can put in their postal code, and they can be, depending on their question, automatically be connected with the respective contractor on that particular project. So making sure that the call ends up with the right contractor.
Yeah. Very important, of course. There's always improvements in the customer journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having the mindset of the client is central. It's also very logical to give the client also a role in this. For example, having them schedule their own appointments, making them part of the closed loop that we're looking at. What are your experience with this?
You asked a question for me?
Yes.
Can you repeat the question again?
So what are your experiences with having the end customer part of the closed loop, right? So
yeah,
having them schedule their own appointments.
Well, we're working on that at this moment, making them schedule their own appointments. That's difficult because we have our own schedule with our technicians, with their availability and their skills, but the ISP wants to make the appointment. So we are working that at this moment to make that better, and I think it will provide for a higher customer expectation. It will make the whole process better if they can, how do you say that? If they are in control of their own appointments, when and where we will come and help them with their connection.
Yeah, from a network perspective, we can clearly see that we see an increased NPS on customers that actually are can manage their own appointments and are actually served at that particular time that they planned themselves.
Yeah.
So that actually is increasing the customer experience for sure.
Yeah, I think this is something that we see everywhere, that when customer is involved, NPS rises. It's also very difficult to align the schedule of the contractor with the schedule of the client, but also have the right skills being available.
Yeah.
So, because this also comes with a lot of manual labor, selecting the right contractor, matching them to the specific tasks. With Grids, we created some tooling for that to support the contractor and the ISP in aligning scheduling and customer visits, which gives you the ability to plan ahead and have time slots available for with specific skills connected to that for the end customer. So if the end customer then plans their own appointments, they also have their own journey in their own hands and also know when to expect what activity, giving them the feeling of being serviced, which is of course very important. So involving the end customer, this is something that with grids is our vision, always having the end customer central through your entire process of deployment, operating, but also building. And having end customer selecting their connecting their houses available during all processes is something that we support. But to manage this, it is necessary to collaborate through technical integrations. So having the operator and the contractor and customer all aligned, share data, and have a process that is standardized. So we know at what point what activities need to be done. Looking at one single source of truth of connection availability, but also have this data validated. So it's qualitative data where we all work from. If we have this standardized, it means that the operator can focus on organizing commercial activities, on available connections. The contractor can focus on construction progress and homes activation, and the network owner on managing and prioritizing their commercial areas. And in this way, we have this closed loop of all working from centralized data and process. In the end, that will lead us to an environment that establishes structured data transfer, controlled data integrity, and a near real-time partner collaboration, which is something that helps us as a chain. All right. Well, thank you, Thomas and Bart, for sharing your insights on these topics. So looking at what we discussed, we have some key takeaways. First of all, collaborating with partners and using grid software will streamline data complexity and ensure data integrity. Also, optimize the process by closing the loop between active and passive, creating first-time rights and faster homes activated, and adopting sales and customer-centric approach is the best strategy to maximize your return on investment. All right, then back to you, Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, Verena, and thanks for this very insightful discussion. I want to carry on discussing with your guest, but before I address the first question we received, let me encourage everybody in the audience to use the question box. I think we probably have time to take more than the 3 I can currently see arriving. So please do not hesitate. We have the remaining 15 minutes or 17 minutes in the session to address this question. And if we cannot take your question, I'll forward that to Verena, and I have no doubt that our panelists will follow up and make sure that you get an answer. So let me start with the first question, which reads, how do you balance the need for optimized process with maintaining a personalized customer experience? I think this is mostly mainly for Bart, maybe.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think balancing the need for optimal processes and maintaining a personalized customer experience, it starts with making sure that there are data points that actually are interacting with the definition that is clear in your customer journey. So I mentioned before that we work towards one unified definitions over all our contractors, making sure that your customer appointment is in there. I also see that is like like what Justus mentioned before, like planning your own appointment as a customer will increase the customer experience, the personalized customer experience, making sure that that is actually an improved way of that's actually implementing an optimized process in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe another question. I guess that one would go to Thomas. How do you foresee the evolution of the customer journey in the next few years, let's say 5 years?
That's a good question. Thank you, Vincent. Well, I cannot foresee it for 5 years. 5 years is way too far away with the current evolution of AI, data structure, big data, etc. I can say what we're working on now. A little bit repeating what we earlier said. We are working on creating a system that the end customer makes his appointment digitally and can change it if necessary. So he's in charge of their own appointment. And we want to send the right technician with the right skills and availability automatically scheduled in order to receive an optimal planning with a low possible CO2 impact. So it's in the near future, we send our technicians, they don't see a planning out front for the next week, but in the morning they will have their last schedule automatically planned and optimized. And of course, what you also earlier said is that we try to help the customer in one single visit at their homes when possible. I think those are the two main subjects that we are working now, and within the next 5 years, who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
Too far ahead, I think.
Well, it's already a good first step to answer that question. And talking about steps, what are the initial steps a company should take when starting this journey towards an optimized process and data integrity? I don't know who wants to take that one. Bart?
Yeah, I can take that. I think we had the possibility to scale up rapidly from our launching in mid 2021 in the middle of Corona. We had our first customer orders coming into grids in September, which was very early in the process. So we only could achieve that by making sure that the software architecture and the processes were agreed upon within the whole chain between the active operator, the contractor, and the network owner and our software provider grids. By in doing so, actually, so an initial step is make sure that you have a working minimal viable process, making sure that you can actually provide that and have a working model, and then iterating on that on improvements over the next few years. So over the one of the improvements we've done over the years is that we actually in the early days we needed our engineering to be finished, and what we actually started to do, make our whole footprint that we announced commercially available for ordering, making sure that even orders without finished engineering could actually be ordered upon. So that
on plan date, actually, right?
Yeah.
Even if the connection is also only planned, they could also already place an order.
Yeah. Correct. So the thing is always, it's very important to make sure that the there is some way of understanding and agreement on how you can handle actually certain new initiatives. So be it labeling, like fulfillment labeling, we have in grids fulfillment labels that can actually label, okay, this specific way, this specific order needs fulfillment option A or B or C.
Okay.
So making sure that you can actually streamline different fulfillment streams within your ordering system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that one is for both of you. How do you, as network operator and contractor, balance the expansion of your footprint size with the process of home activation, given the growing gap in home pass versus home connected? It's a long question.
I think you can better answer. There's a growing gap of the home activation activated versus home passed. That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, how do you, as network operator and contractor, balance the expansion of your footprint size with the process of home active? I guess it's the speed of deployment versus the process of activating the homes. You need to work on the actual rollout, and you need at the same time to get in relation with potential subscribers. So how do you manage this dual process, which goes hand in hand, not in sequence, but at the same time, one should follow the first one should be followed by the second one rapidly. I guess that's the meaning behind the question.
Yeah, I think I can answer that. I think part of the approach that we did was we draw a polygon, an area where we'll connect the addresses, and meaning in the end, not all on the start of your project, 0 customers are connected, and by the end of the project, you still have some houses that are not connected. That is evident in whole fiber world. But actually, one of the things, so the gap between HP and HA is there's one of the things that is crucial is prioritizing where do I connect, what connection do I give preference to make and homes connect, and which are, for example, commercially available. How do I approach the market? So this is crucial to make sure that the addresses that you do connect are actually coming and making an homes activated as being a customer served with ISP services. Yes.
Yeah, and for us, during building process, if the area is not too big where you are building, then we have enough technicians available in the region. So the driving time is very short for a home activation. So the building process goes on and on, but the home activations goes by another team, another technician. It's being done by another technician. So we will just have to make sure there's enough availability of technicians to make sure that the orders are being done by us.
Yeah. I think availability is key in this for this. Not only availability of people working in the field, but also availability of information of which actual addresses are available to be homes activated. So as for the network owner, it's very important that they prioritize and manage the commercial areas towards their operators and say, of the whole network that we are building HP, we see that this part we can already open up for some commercial activities. So clients can already start ordering on the network while it's being built. And you can actually have the return on investment earlier in your process, because during the building phase, you're already selling. So this is where grids supports in giving the availability information towards the ISP, and also the order flow towards the contractor to have both the homes passed and the homes activated and managed on the same time frame.
Sure. Practical question, which comes from Christopher. What tool are you currently using for documenting the wires in the ground? I guess this is probably before you effectively dig and put your own fiber.
Yeah, asset management tooling.
Before, you mean to administer once you've built it, because you know our GIS administration is in Cocon, right? That's where we administer the fiber, which fiber goes to which address, and you can follow the whole path from the POP all the way to the address, and you can know exactly if you have, for example, one damage, you can easily find it in your asset management which customers are potentially impacted by this damage, which is reported in the field.
It's a geographically asset management system.
Yes. So that's actually. Is that the
I guess
question?
I guess I'm not the one asking the question, so I don't know exactly what our attendee was meant to learn. But I think I'll take that answer anyway. I've got another one.
I think I can. I can add on that, because before we actually starting, we have actually in the Netherlands, we have an excellent geographical administration of our underground cable network from all operators. And actually, that is part of the building process that you request. What are my risks under the ground? Is there high pressure gas? Is there high pressure water? And actually, you need to identify this risk also by law, by CRV 500, and identify these risks, address them, and actually implement them in the field. So that's actually crucial for your risk, and also for your by using this data again to make sure that you prevent interacting with possible risk in the field.
Okay. Right, I've got actually now many questions, so I'm a little bit puzzled to know which one to go to. Well, let's take this one. It's probably bring us to the end of this conversation. You both explain importance to install FTU and have the ONT up and running the same day in one visit, first time right. Mm-hmm. But what about activation of the service of the ISP? Does the customer need a second appointment for that? Do you never plan to have all these tasks executed in one appointment? Sorry.
I think that one of the ways to verify your ONT installation, and that's actually what we have implemented, by making sure that the service is already on the line, provisioned to the actual home. So meaning that once we install the ONT, we can verify that actually the services are working by having verification and optical verification, that all the lights are green, and meaning that actually the whole ONT and all the services on the ONT are actually received by the ONT.
Yeah, and this is what we are now implementing. At this moment, we are working on making sure that's done in the same visit. So the ONT and the line is activated will be done in the same visit.
So in a way, it's not sequential anymore, like first you install the ONT and then someone at the ISP puts a manual switch, but the services are already on the line. You can immediately verify once you do the physical activity, making sure that the services are received by the end customer.
I always like to free our audience right on time. So maybe we would transition slowly to a conclusion. What was interesting to me to see is how the cooperation between you three has been working apparently very smoothly. So maybe around that element, what advice can you give to our audience on the way to manage that relation between the different stakeholders, and how important that has been in the success of the operation on these projects?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And it lies all in the way that we align data and the way that we align our processes. So actually having this standardized. So we always work with some kind of predictive way of sharing orderability, availability. So if I share this information, I know that SPIE will take these steps. If SPIE takes these steps, I know that ODF will manage it on their side. So standardization, I think, is key here.
Having communication, I think,
and communication,
because we communicate a lot and we ask a lot of questions. How do you do this? How do you want to do this? And for us to, as a contractor, speak to Open Dutch Fiber, how do you want this system to helping you? And we tell us what we need. So I think we communicate a lot, the three of us, so we can build a whole chain of, like I said earlier, we are part of the loop, and I think we all see that.
Yeah.
And you adding to that, you know, I work always from design principles. You know, we need to ensure goal A, B, and C to be achieved, and we go around like asking, is it implemented this way? Are these goals being achieved? And then when you look at the different actors in a process like that, and you listen to their design principles and what they need to make sure that the process goes all right, you can form together an implement process that is actually working, but you do need to communicate.
Yeah.
Well, that will be the conclusion, but I would like to thank all of you, Bart, Thomas, and of course, Verena. We will share to our audience the link for the replay. We will share the deck. Many questions were in that direction, so I guess the slides can be shared. A lot of the information which were touched upon during this webinar, but which are also concerning everyone in the audience, can be also found in the resource center of the FTTH Council. So I would encourage you also to go to visit our website. A lot can be found here. And I wish also to see you again at one of our events, maybe the next webinar or our next conference in the Netherlands, actually next March. So thank you all for this great session. Thank you for attending. I wish you a very good rest of your day and hope to see you again at one of our activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.